You joined the rebel movement, now you speaking to the leader. The system don't like me, the system don't like your ass either. The color of your skin, no matter to them, you are not equal. If you ain't part of the 1%, you are not we the people. They acting like they like you, but you cannot join their party. They acting like they like you, but you cannot join their party. You poor and dying on the ground, that ambulance is tardy. You rich and dying on the ground, they give you a brand new body. These cold-hearted bastards killing children in their leisure. These bastards keep their heart locked up in a cryogenic freezer. They out here drunk with power, hanging people till they seizure. They out here having orgies going both ways just like Caesar. They out here burning money you could've used to feed your family. They laughing at the people starving to death down in the valley. You protesting, they tell them robots go shoot up the rally. Till I'm finding a man with a sign in his hand, he dead up in the alley. If you tired of this shit, then let us take an oath. Said if you tired of this shit, then let us take an oath. Said if you tired of this shit, then let us take an oath. If you tired of this shit, let us take an oath. Now put one hand in the air, put one hand in the air, put one hand in the air, put one hand in the air. Throw them middle fingers up, throw them middle fingers up, throw them middle fingers up, throw them middle fingers up. Now jump up and down, 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 jump up and down.
Welcome back to Rome's Rebellion. I have a special guest with us, and this guest should be the VP, and I'm pretty sure I shouldn't have to introduce you to her. She's, powerful woman in her own right. She's, man, just one of the people that I would love to grow up to be when I get older. But I would love for y'all to give a warm welcome to Angela Walker and hear her out. And actually, let's listen for one. Not hear. Let's listen to her, because I can see the numbers from the Green Party. We have done worse, but we didn't do worse than 2020, as I've seen. And I know a lot of Trump voters, anti-Trump voters, have to do with this. But how do seeing these numbers make you feel? In our loss in the general election?
I think, first off, thank you for having me. It is a huge honor to be here. I think that because this was an election year, an election cycle, the type that we have not seen, you had a pandemic, you had a rebellion, you've got people waking up to climate change, and you had a person occupying the White House that was just ridiculous beyond the pale. I mean, they're all ridiculous, but he was absolutely ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? And so I think with all of those pressure points, particularly the mishandling of the pandemic by that administration, and also, rebellion happening, our numbers, we couldn't campaign in a traditional way. There was so much fear mongering, I think more than usual.
Yes.
So much pressure on people because of the pandemic, because of the rebellion, and all the things that are falling out from that. I'm actually not surprised. I'm not surprised that, our numbers were pretty dismal. That doesn't surprise me.
What was surprising to me was the Democratic Party actually going out to reach out to hurt you all, like suing you in certain districts, getting you kicked off the ballots. That's where I seen, okay, Kanye West numbers are this, and that across the board. Imagine what Green numbers would have been if we would have never got kicked off for this. Saying, okay, well, I guess this is their way of trying to make sure we don't get over the threshold 10% night. What was going, like, as the VP, what was going through your mind at this time, looking at the Democratic Party while they're just relentlessly being some cutthroat motherfuckers? What was going through your mind at the time?
That was actually my thoughts, like, you bastard. And like in Wisconsin, these people know me personally because it's where I'm from. And so, my activism, my work as the legislative director for the transit union, these legislators know me. And no one stepped up and said, yo, you know, this, she's ours. What is y'all doing? None of them. And so, you know, it's typical because actually they do this every election cycle. They attack us every election cycle. Oh, yeah. It's not new. It's irritating. And, you know, my whole thing is like, you know, y'all it's growth because I be coming to see y'all. Oh, yeah. We'd have to have that talk, but you know, I think the biggest the takeaway from it is that people who were still under this illusion that we lived under a democracy watched that shit happen, and now they know that's not the case. So if there was a win that came out of that, it was that.
I believe the first thing I ever heard about the Green Party, I was about 13 years old, and y'all were helping what president at this time. It was like y'all were always the spoiler. You know, it's always, oh, you can't vote third party, you can't vote Green because this person is gonna win. Like, hold on. What if we all just vote Green? Won't that person win? Like, what's the problem if we vote Green and the Democrats lose and the Greens win? What would be the problem? Because if we look at the platforms, you know, Greens were actually for reparations and all kind of stuff that I was just looking like, whoa, why aren't everybody on the Green ticket? But as we can see, my generation is a lot of barking and very little bite. You know, probably a couple of nibbles from here to there. They would get online, they would talk this shit. Some people would actually use these opportunities as photo ops. But, you know, as somebody that's been in this game as long as you have, and know as much as you have, and has taught as many people as you have, how do people like me go out here on the streets and take this torch, and take the baton behind you, and teach my generation to don't be scared to vote Green. Don't be scared to stand up for yourself in your community. How do I teach that?
I would very gently push back with you that y'all are already doing it. You're already doing it. These movements, you know, particularly a lot of the really badass stuff coming out of Chicago, stuff coming out of Oakland, it's young people leading it. It ain't us old heads doing this, it's y'all. And so I would very gently push back that passing you the torch, you already have it. Y'all know what you need to do. The movements around fighting and reversing climate change, that's young people leading it. That's y'all who are charging, you know, this government and charging capitalism itself with robbing you of a future in a way that my generation did not do. So I would argue very gently that y'all already running it. And, you know, for us who have, you know, been in movement work and done the things that we've done, mentoring you, you know, being a resource for you, you know, making sure that we are constantly mindful of the history that we're drawing from. And I mean a specifically socialist, specifically Black radical history. I'm not talking that revisionist shit. Yeah. Like, you know, bringing those histories up, looking at the work, you know, that's being done, like, you know, Cooperation Jackson in Mississippi. Yeah. You know, you've got stuff happening in Oakland. You got, you know, Asada's daughters and all these folks in Chicago doing stuff. So, you know, it's just, y'all know what to do. My biggest thing with young folks, because this is a very youth-oriented, now, you know, immediate gratification society and culture, don't forget your history. Yeah. Don't neglect, you know, the time to sit down and study Black radical history, because we have a blueprint for y'all to draw on. Y'all gonna tweak it how you gonna tweak it, but use that history as your bedrock, you know, something to hold you and to help you move forward.
See, that reminds me something I was telling one of my followers or friends or whatever you want to call themselves. I had said something about Dr. Cornel West. You know, he was saying, oh, well, Dr. Cornel West said for me to do this and do that. Look, this is a big problem. We can use some of the words as stepping stones, but we can't take everything and just run with it. We can't ask our older people how to lead a revolution when they never led a revolution. You know? Joe Biden, we see that he's lying about and then what was that, private prisons, and his executive orders is a bunch of bullshit. Like, how do you feel? I know how you might feel about him emotionally and shit like that. How do you feel about these policies that he's pushing out right now, and the way that they are being presented? Do you think that, you know, that us as Green Party, you know, candidates, leaders, activists, can we call that shit out for what the fuck it is without now can we call it out without them saying that we're helping Trump? Do you think it's time?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was my hope that we were very clear before this regime changed, basically, that we not finna let up on you because you're not him. You're just as bad.
Yeah.
The policies that jackass continued, you initiated. Black Lives Matter became a movement under the Obama-Biden administration. Yeah. Locking young people and separating families at the border, that happened under Obama-Biden. Drone strike increases happened under Obama-Biden. So I think when we're looking at, you know, what we're looking at, you already know what it is. The shit is smoke and mirrors. Yeah. Look at these token reforms. We're gonna make this little gesture, but not dig at the heart of what targeted incarceration really is. To quote Professor Dylan Rodriguez, because I love that the way that he put that. We're gonna put Harriet Tubman on the $20 bill and placate you Negroes, rather than, you know, dig into the fact that why would you make a woman who was an emancipator and someone who risked her life to fight capitalism, which is the system that enslaved her, but you're going to make her the face of capitalism, and all of us happy little darkies are supposed to lay down and be glad for this? We know what you're doing. It's the same bullshit they were doing when they were kneeling in kente cloth. It's the same painting Black Lives Plaza in front of something, but you are not doing anything. You want to make some real gestures. We have already, as the people in this country, we have been explicit about what we need. We need a federal jobs guarantee. We need you to fight to end climate change. We need reparations for Black folks. We need housing for all right now, and we need Medicare for all right now. We need people being supported financially through this pandemic. And I'm not talking $600 in chump change. Right. We should have been getting $2,000 a month for every family, $500 a month for every child for the duration of this pandemic, which is what has been done in other countries. So all of this, oh, we're going to end this and we're going to make these little token gestures, you playing in our face. And the gratifying thing is, like you said, people are awake to it. I think in a way that they were not in 2016 when we were all like, oh, inclusion. Yep. Now we know that it's bullshit.
Yep. Now, right. Everybody was talking about conclusion and, you know, Robert Mueller and all this crap. Now it's just all just gone. And I just received word that Trump will not be facing, he won't be facing prison time because the Supreme Court just threw out, you know, the cases to throw it out because it's mute and he's not the president anymore.
Wow. So as taxpayers, we are going to end up, get down, baby. We're going to end up paying this man for the rest of his life.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And he still can run in 2024, which I told people, and Twitter blew up. Of course, Twitter blew up. I said, the impeachment is a distraction. They can't do nothing to this man. He has too many people in high places. Oh, well, they're going to get him for state. He has too many friends in high places. If he goes to jail, this is going to open up a can of worms that Joe Biden do not want to be facing as a white supremacist stepping out of office. Us convicting ex-presidents is something that Joe Biden would not want to be facing. So of course he's gonna pardon Trump, even if he didn't face, you know what I'm saying, the Supreme Court or the smaller courts in the states. So They all going to take care of each other, but at the end of the day, they're going to make sure that we are poor. They're going to make sure that you go to jail over a gram, but your politician can bomb countries with brown people. But
and how many you going to jail for a gram at a time? They moving weight.
Yeah.
So it don't get here without their permission and their help.
A lot of us been in prison anyway. We've been in prison in this community. A lot of us weren't going to make it out. And I'm pretty sure you saw that. This is why we did what we did as younger men, but more likely you probably wasn't going to make it.
Well, we weren't intended. This is a system that, I think we have to be very clear about. It was intended when those folks sat down and wrote up the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, all of that. We were not intended for inclusion. We were not seen as people. We are still viewed as, we're not citizens. This is not our country. We don't have a stake in it. And so,
I told people, you are a taxpayer. You're not a human. You are a taxpayer. No. This is why you have insurance. You are an object. You are not a human.
Well, your job is to generate money under capitalism. Yeah. You are still a resource. Okay, we can't call it slavery, in the way that, they did during the period of enslavement.
Yeah.
We just changed names. Yep. I mean, okay, you go to jail for an ounce of weed under the 13th Amendment. Because you are incarcerated, you can be used for prison labor. They know we don't know that. That's the loophole in that needs to be closed. If you know what you're looking at, you're watching the system mutate the way this COVID virus mutates. Capitalism, at the end of the day, white supremacy is an offshoot of capitalism. Yeah. Misogyny is an offshoot of capitalism. You have to create all of these systems of oppression to justify the fact that under capitalism, somebody has to be on the bottom. Yeah. So you create these systems of oppression to justify the people that you are keeping on the bottom.
Yep. So I heard from a little bird. That's what it's called. I heard from a little bird. New segment. And since Angela Walker is here, I think I should be the one to ask you this. And to tell you, actually, Howie Hawkins is fucking white bread. And I heard from a little bird that you should have led the ticket. Like, how do you feel about that? How do you feel about a lot of people? Like, I actually agree with Howie Hawkins because he's a older white male. I know his history, but I wasn't checking into Howie Hawkins. I was checking into Angela Walker most of the time y'all was running. So how do you feel about, a lot of Green Party voters saying that, you should have led the ticket?
I think that anybody that says that doesn't know Howie. There's a reason Howie was the top of the ticket. He absolutely should be. He's a person that I personally feel should be leading this country. Because when you talk about making those connections, making those root causes, and digging down to why things are the way that they are, and figuring out a plan, like this is not pie in the sky shit, this is documented.
Yeah.
That's your man. Howie is one of the, not only, it's not just a matter of being able to spiel off things that but making the connections to how we can actually make the platform that we stood on.
Yep.
He did the budget that makes it doable. He did the nuts and bolts.
Yeah, I read that. I read your website. It is. Yeah. Everything came together before I threw my hat in for y'all. I read everything. I even did I did commercials for the Green Party in Texas, and I was like, yeah, I can do it. I can get down with this. This looks
that's
legit.
Howie. But that's Howie. When people say stuff like that, it's like, yo, that Green New Deal y'all love, that's the cat that wrote it. Yeah. Medicare for All, that's one of the collaborators that helped put that together. Well, when you even talking about the Green Party itself.
And the social media era, and seeing like it's more of pizzazz than anything. Because even though Trump was ugly as shit, fat, he had a mouth and he knew how to sell itself. Sell itself. I think a lot of people wanted identity politics more than what y'all were pushing. More than like, look, we ain't got time for all that black first female shit. This and that. Let's get the job done, and let's worry about what the first black female VP has accomplished later on. I guess that's what y'all were getting at. But a lot of people, even myself, I think y'all would have did a lot better as as the black female leading. But then again, would you? Because then you would have had Democrats say, oh, well, she's going out there, Kamala Harris. Then you had, it would have been all type of shit. But I'm glad that, one of my highest paying Patreons, I think he paid like $30. So I had to ask that. But
no,
I wanted to know that my damn self.
But no, I've heard it a lot. And while I appreciate the compliment that I think is embedded in it, I also know what my capacity is and why he picked me as a running mate.
Yeah.
And so, one of the things about Howie and I, we actually complement one another.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
Our styles are complementary. But when you talk about these policies and the fact that there is a Green Party, period, this was one of the OGs that founded it. I'm like, dog, y'all, I mean, do people read? It's like, do y'all even know who this cat is?
No, they don't.
And just because he's not out front, aren't we tired of entertainers being leaders?
We just had a celebrity president.
Don't we want somebody that actually has a solid plan that actually draws on history and draws on reality and fiscal reality? Don't we want somebody to that has those things and knows how to implement them? Don't we want that kind of leadership? Because I mean, I'm tired of bombast. Bombast is not getting people housed or fed or cared for. So my thing is like Carrie said at the top before we started taping, and I've used the expression a whole lot. We got to get past the hero worship, the celebrity worship. We got to get past this bread and circuses shit. Otherwise, we are never going to get out of the situation that we find themselves in, which is fine with the ruling class. They know, throw them something new, throw them a new bone. That's all they need.
Any way you can, shit. We'll get
That's all they need.
Anything.
Keep them down here, and they're not paying attention to us. We got to get hip at some point, y'all.
Yep. Reparations, important, and I don't think they're gonna ever get passed as long as we have dictators running this country. But I think that we can get Black people off of the Democratic Party ticket with this thing if we come at them harder. Like I read the reparations proposal. I forgot how much y'all said exactly, but I think we can go for more. I think if we hit every corporation that used shackleton slavery and hit their net worth, hit everything in that game, put some type of, tether on their money, and put that money directly into Black people, or we can like try to get Black people talking about this. Cause, I was arguing about this with Williamson people. I was like, $15 trillion isn't enough for Black people. I'm trying to count this. I'm like, shit, we can get $15 trillion just by taxing, the tobacco companies, the fucking train companies, and it was the banks, Chase Bank and shit like that. Like that's $15 trillion right there. We can tax them 10% of their wealth. They use shackleton slavery, but I think this reparations, how do you feel about us just going stronger with it, like going all out, saying the fucking just go Hail Mary with it and say, bitch, y'all owe us everything until we actually get something. Because, having a low number is going to give us a lower number. We know this.
I think the biggest thing also is like to draw on, because, organizations like NCOBRA have been doing this work. They've been doing it for decades.
Yeah.
Around the way that reparations should look. And I think it's also important for our people to know that when we're talking about reparations, we are not just talking about, okay, put a check in my hand. Because at the end of the day, you give me a dollar amount of a check, put the check in my hand. What am I going to do with that money?
Hey,
9 times out of 10, put it back into the system it came from. What did we gain as far as building power as a people?
Yep.
When we're talking about reparations for us, what we're talking about is Black self-determination. We are talking about policing our own neighborhoods. We are talking about ownership of the banks and entities that touch our neighborhoods the closest. You know, if it is in our neighborhood, it belongs to us. One of the documents, well, not necessarily documents, but there is which the movement for Black Lives, as problematic as they are right now, Lord Jesus, if y'all divorce yourselves from the Democratic Party, we can talk. Until then, we ain't got nothing to talk about. But they did that, you know, they did their Black National Convention this year virtually. And what they were drawing on was the first one, Black National Convention that happened, I want to say it was in Detroit. I want to say, don't quote me on this, because I ain't got it in front of me, but it was 1972. There is a Black manifesto that came out of that convening that is, to this day, pure fire. And if you want it, I'll give you my email and then I can send you the information I got on it. Calling from putting the churches on notice in this country. You owe the banks, you owe us. These corporations, you owe us. This, and they did a breakdown. Black control of the media, Black control of newspapers, Black control of the police, Black control of schools, all of those things. Now you're talking about building power. Putting a check in my hand one time does not absolve this country of anything. My ancestors got beef with you.
Yep.
I can't forgive you because
that's one thing I
don't have the right to do that.
That's one thing I was getting into with ADOS when I was out canvassing for Bernie, and it was like, you know what? I'm like, dog, we need foundation first. We need foundation first. So okay, let's just say they throw money at us. Look how they gave Native American reparations. What representation do Native Americans have in the media? Let alone, like, come on, man. Okay, they gave reparations to the fucking Japanese. What the fuck do the Japanese got? So, of course, we're gonna need, you know, he said Bernie Sanders was wanted to fight the war that was the war on drugs. Basically, all that money that the government made off the war on drugs going back into Black communities, building this, building that, blah, blah, blah. These are long-term goals. Okay, we might not see them ourselves. The point is not to fucking, you know, it's not a fucking race, it's a marathon. And the point is not to fucking, to get it right then and there. It's to fight for it, for our kids can take off on it, you know? And
my grandkids, I got 7 grandchildren. I mean, when we're talking about looking at policies that are long-term and making sure that my grandkids are not fighting the same battles I'm fighting, that my grandparents was fighting, that my mom and them was fighting. We have got to build power and putting a check in our hands, this one-time check, which basically this country writes it off and says, okay, didn't we pay y'all? We don't owe you nothing else. And these systems of oppression continue. What did we change? So, you know, it's like, I don't have an objection to cash amounts being paid out to people, but for me, because Ado's gonna come for me, and I already know, and I'm not worried about you motherfuckers. I'm gonna just say that.
They always come, they come and go, they'll be all right.
I'm like, just sit your asses down, you be all right. But because I'm not with that for so many different reasons. But this idea of giving people a one-time check and then all of a sudden the debt to our people is paid, that's insulting. Yeah, it's insulting.
I heard a lot of ADOS actually was working with Trump. I heard that the leaders was working for Trump or some shit like that, but it would make sense because they wasn't pushing, you know, anybody anywhere else. They was pushing people off of Bernie Sanders. They wasn't pushing people towards Biden. Who else are you guys voting for? Like, are you trying to tell Black people to hold their vote? Okay, I understand that. But Bernie is the closest thing you're going to get to reparations ever right now. Like, this is, you know, if we're going to talk about on a general election thing, we know we're not gonna get some big green party that we want. All right, so we're gonna settle for fucking Bernie. We settle for Bernie, and y'all don't even want to settle for Bernie, and y'all want to make us settle for Biden. I'm like, no, that's it. That's it. They moving too far. This is where I stop, because I know that I wasn't gonna get reparations under Bernie, but the reparations under Biden is him coming to your house and putting a record player on and telling you that you are illiterate and don't know how to raise your fucking kids. He said that on the debate stage, not me. I'm not putting words in that man's mouth.
I know.
You know?
He's completely out of touch with the whole concept of reparations and the idea of Black self-determination that is not specifically based in Black capitalism. That we are being very explicit in saying it is not Black capitalism that is going to save our people. That is not the answer.
It's just gonna put
to what's happening with us.
It's just gonna put poor people under our chains. Don't y'all not understand that white people is living horrible under capitalism too? What is going on? So you want to become the slave master and the slave? Because if Black capitalism, I don't get it. They getting this nationalism, they're getting Black nationalism mixed up with Black capitalism and Black socialism and Black communism. They're getting all these fucking things mixed up because they don't even know where the fuck they stand. They read fucking books and watch these Malcolm X videos, you know what I'm saying? And they get these videos from these niggas, then they listen to these fucking fake ass Black conservatives, and now they all these fucking ideologies all mixed up, and they don't know where the fuck they belong. They just saying all types of stupid shit, and when a nigga call them out, they saying, oh, no, well, you know what? I'm not gonna vote for your person. You know, nigga, ain't my fault. You sound fucking stupid. How the fuck is Black nationalism? You know, Malcolm X was not calling for the, you know, he was not calling for us to eliminate white people. He was not calling for us to step on the Black, on the backs and necks of the white person. He said, the white man, you know what I'm saying? It's always a bigger, when you say white man, of course it's not just a white man. He's talking about the government. Mm-hmm. Idiots. No, not your fucking neighbors that go through the same shit that you have to go through. Your kids go to the same school. What kind of woke idiot are you? Like, my beef with them, it goes up and down. I got a couple of them following me, but I just don't agree with, they swag. They just let me fuck up.
I mean, I got a couple of people that I've spoken to who, you know, we don't, and they know, you know, I'm not part of your movement. I will not be part of your movement. It ain't in me. I am a diasporist. I am an internationalist. I have been my entire life. I know, you know, as a Pan-Africanist, that the history of my people on these shores did not begin on these shores. We were taken from a continent that has an amazing history, and we were enslaved and brought to this place, and we have created a history of resilience that is unbelievably amazing. But we cannot separate ourselves from Africa.
Right.
And we cannot, as Black Americans, or me, separate ourselves from the oppression of Black people throughout the diaspora, throughout the Caribbean, throughout the Americas, you know, Central South America, you know, Afro-Mexicans, the whole nine. These are all my people. And to restrict my scope of care and interest to just people who look like me within, I mean, are we gonna have to pull out papers to show, you know, to prove that we had enslaved, enslaved ancestors? We doing this to each other? Is we really finna do this?
That's what they wanted. They said, oh, well, how do we know everybody is really African-American descent and blah, blah, blah. I was like, look, I got mixed kids, bro. I don't give a fuck how white their mother, how Jewish their mother is. If they got family in the fucking slave trade, they come from a bloodline of fucking slaves. I'm not trying to hear your what ifs, your mixed you call my kids a fucking mutt. I'm a mutt. I'm a mutt.
Where
Passed down
most
shit.
of
My
us
fucking
are in this
father
country.
is Native American and Mexican, you know? And my grandfathers are African and this and that. And once you get passed down, I'm pretty sure if we do these tests, like ADOS really want, a lot of them won't even fucking pass their own fucking
racial purity test.
They won't even pass their own shit.
If you 5 generations deep into your lineage on this continent, you are pure nothing. Yeah. I am so sorry.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it is. That's just the way it happened. And that's part of who we are. And it is nothing to be ashamed of or to downplay. It is what it is. My thing is to disconnect ourselves as Black Americans with our very, very unique history on this continent, because it is very unique, very tumultuous, glorious, and messy history on this continent. To take just us and disconnect ourselves from the struggles of our people in Africa, the struggles of our people throughout the Caribbean, through the struggles of our people throughout the Americas, and also the struggle of Afro-Europeans.
Yeah.
And to say, because this is where I was born, this is all I'm concerned with, we look stupid.
Yeah. What reparations are we going to be forcing our government to give to West Africans, their countries? What reparations don't stop with us. It don't start with us and it won't stop with us. So if we're pushing for African-American reparations, we're going to push for African, West African, South African reparations for the slave trade. You know? So the shit is not just about us. Like we said, it's not a race, it's a fucking marathon. If we want to get all of our people, you know what I'm saying, back on their feet and off their fucking knees, we have to go at this government all together as, you know, African Americans, as mutts, as Africans, as Caribbeans, whatever your fucking race is. We're gonna have to go toe to toe with this government. And I know a lot of people don't want to get their hands dirty. They don't want to teach. They don't want to do this. Just act like you do something. Just stand right there and be a fucking whatever. Just act like you know the words to the song. But don't just, you know, be in the way and say, well, I don't know, this, that, they're going to kill us, or they're going to kill us with or without your permission. You might as well go down with a fight. You might as well go down teaching people like, look, all it takes is this, you know.
But I mean, I don't think it's going to come to a point where we're looking them in the face and like, you know, there's this civil war. That's not this.
Hell no.
We've got organizations that, like I said, have been working on that. If people are interested, find out about NCOBRA. You know, find out about the organizations that are really decades deep in doing the work around reparations. You know, read up on our past leaders who have put this forth. This is not a new idea.
No,
you know, go read some more Du Bois. Go read Marcus Garvey.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? We need, goes back to what I said earlier, learn your history. Because what you and I are talking about did not just pop up.
Is they blew up a little bit too fast. For a group about reparations for America, they had a voice a little bit too fast, you know? Like any voice that anybody that speaks up about reparations, any organization that speaks up for reparations for African Americans it's an underground railroad type shit. Like you really have to go find. But for them, the people to be all over the internet and all, you know, some of these people meeting presidents.
Well, my thing is, you know, do what you do. But at the end of the day, I want it to be very clear. You don't speak for me. Yeah. You do not speak for me. You do not speak for my family. You do not speak for my friends who are in movement work. You do not speak for us. We don't ride with this. I mean, if I'm a socialist, I'm explicitly socialist. I am unapologetically socialist. Yeah. And I'm an intersectional socialist.
Yeah.
I cannot separate the fight for freedom for my people within these borders from the struggles of other peoples who are oppressed around the world. I
Yeah.
cannot separate my struggle from that, and I will not. And
Yeah.
that's just all that people can be as mad and come for me as much as they want. You may as well just shout it in the wind, baby, because I'm not listening.
Yeah,
You're
I guess
not going to change
some
me.
black people do want, you know, revenge. But if you want revenge,
That's stupid.
just say that. You know, put your revenge. You know, get a fucking whiteboard. You know, make up your fucking conspiracies and pinpoint the motherfucker who did this. But do not get in power and hurt everybody that's under you. That
If
is
you-
not what being black is about.
If you are not trying to call out capitalism as the chief evil
Yeah.
that does what it does to our people, then you ain't talking about shit.
Right.
If you are not talking about uprooting the system that enslaved our people and continues to enslave and oppress our people, if you're not calling that system out, if you're trying to do what you have to do to get, you know, get a pass to be a part of the club to join that system, then you're not talking about shit. And stay miss me. You're not calling out capitalism, we don't have nothing to talk about.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm glad I'm getting that energy from you. That's what I'm talking about. I love that energy, man. You know, I love this aura around you. You know, I've been following you for a while, just in the shadows and whatnot, because if you saw me pass your house every day, you'll probably call the police.
I'm such a recluse. Don't nobody, I mean, I have a very isolated life.
Yeah.
I
try, but you know, I reach out to too many people and they be like, oh, be like, you know what, just fucking come over. But that's, you know, I got a lot of backup, and you know, I don't. So I ain't gonna say I got security, but you know, I got it.
You know how to move,
But,
and that's what that is.
Oh yeah, it is what it is. They know you answer the door like, hey, it's on me. But,
people know I don't even have voicemail set up. It's like, look, you screening? I said, you ain't know?
Man.
Don't nobody just show up over here. That does not happen. It does not. First off, don't nobody know where I live. Second of all, it's like I'm not a people person, which is what, you know, like you asked about me running again. That's another reason that I'm not. Yeah. This process is exhausting.
It is.
And for someone who's naturally an introvert, which I am, I don't have the bandwidth for it. I mean, can I show up when I have to? And, you know, had we, you know, in some alternate amazing universe, had we won, absolutely step up and handle business and do what we said we were going to do. That wouldn't have been a problem. But as far as the day-to-day constant interaction with people, I can't. If I don't have to do it, I don't.
Yeah, even me running for city council, it was like, I was like, yeah, let me drop out this time. I mean, I'm gonna do it again next year.
you see exactly what I'm saying? It's vicious.
Man, and they won't let me run as a communist for some reason.
Imagine that. Imagine that.
There's a whole communist party out here, but they won't let me, like, oh, you're gonna be Democrat? And I'm like, no, hell no. Like, and then I guess the people went back and they probably saw all my shit. They like, oh shit. Democrats gonna have a problem on their hands if I get a fucking microphone in my hands. You know, I'm going around like, look, these motherfuckers ain't shit, y'all. So I don't know. They made it hard for me on the ground. You know, a lot of people was like, oh, Ron finally running and shit like that. But once I heard them, people was like, we're gonna kill you, basically. And I was like, all right, let me go get some shit together. Let me go get me an organization behind me before I dive head first and get my ass murdered by the Democratic Party.
You're a threat to the system, particularly, you know, in places, which is most cities where you have these entrenched political dynasties that are very invested in making sure things stay the way they are.
Look how, you come. I keep telling people, like, dog, how long you been voting Democrat? And Detroit been ruling over Democrat for how long? Like, come on, man, let's do something different. There's another party. They got liquor and weed, bro. Like, you know, not just, you know, real shit. It's another party. It's the Green Party. It's the weed over there, man. Y'all over there passing that little blunt around. But man, you know, I wanted to thank you because I can sit here and talk to you forever because you It's just so beautiful to me. And you have, everything about you is just like, beautiful inside and out. Like I
Oh,
just,
I'm an asshole, so I don't want
yeah,
nobody
of course.
walking around thinking that I'm an asshole, but
That's why
I'm not
that's why
gonna
I think
bullshit you.
that's why I think you're so beautiful. Only I can stop myself. And that's how I feel about you. I think even though you're not going to run again, you still have made a hell of an impact in this world. And I will be teaching my daughter, my sons. Well, I got like a son and a half, I guess, because I do donate sperm and shit. So, but I'm going to teach everybody.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to teach everybody about you. All the journeys, everything, because they need to learn. Especially my daughter. She's going to need moderate, strong Black women to look up to. We read about our Harriet Tubmans. We read about, Rosa Parks. We have a lot of examples right here today. And you is definitely one of them.
That's mind blowing.
Yeah. I just want to.
No, that's mind blowing. That's one of them things, like I can hear it now, and it's something that I will be processing like the rest of the night. That's huge, because when you do the stuff you do it because it needs to be done.
Yes.
And honestly, I can say, like, I'm fine with being like this one little link in this massive chain. There's one little tiny link that, at this little pinpoint in history, I did this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody else looked at this little pinpoint, this little thing that I did, and said, you know what? Because she did that tiny little thing, I can do a bigger thing.
Yeah. You might be the strongest link that we have right now, especially with every Black woman. I mean, like, look at the voting records. Almost every Black woman is falling for the Democratic Party, not paying attention. Not paying attention. A big block of women that's voting, Black women, continue to vote for the Democratic Party, even though their cities have been destroyed. Like, I talked to my parents, like I stopped my mother from voting Democrat for over 40 years. My auntie, I had to get all these people off the Democratic Party pacifier. Because I'm like, look, it's not working. Stop it. Like, we are destroying our own communities, whether we know it or not. Like, yes, the white man does these things, but we vote these men in. We give them the power, the tools. Stop it. We are destroying ourselves. So let's take a step back, and actually look at what the fuck we're doing to ourselves before we point it out. Oh, well, he was in office, he did it. No, motherfucker, y'all had the voting power, you did it. And I'm so happy, I can look at, I can teach my daughter and my nieces, my sisters. I point to you, when I'm teaching about, Black women that rebels against the Democratic Party in the toughest times, especially with this Trump shit going on. You got one hell of a backbone to stand there and take them blows that y'all had took about helping Trump, being a Russian puppet, this and that. You are one hell of a one. And you got bigger balls than a lot of these niggas, for real. That took a lot. And I will, be writing you down in all the history books that they let a nigga write in, for real. Because I'm be like, yeah, this is historic. It's bigger than what people actually want to put it as, because, man, the numbers is heartbreaking. The numbers from the Green Party, the numbers for Biden, the numbers for Trump, it's all heartbreaking. I'm just like, holy fuck. And, at least somebody, I can point at somebody for a real life example. Like, they really.
But these are people you also know too that are your real life examples. Black women leftists. We out here. So I mean, it's
just not in my real life. It's hard. I gotta make.
I'm surrounded by them. It's pretty.
I need them. I try, but trying to get through 50 years of propaganda is a motherfucker. That's a motherfucker, especially when, like, come on, man. We in Detroit. This is like one of them. education is bullshit. So
Yeah, but
whatever we
y'all,
get
as
is what
far
we
as
get,
activism,
man.
y'all doing it.
Yeah,
Y'all
yeah,
doing it.
yeah, yeah.
And
Yeah.
like visionary, you know, the stuff that's come out of Detroit around the visionary piece. Like, what could we do if we were not doing this? Don't downplay that. It's badass. And it's the stuff that inspires me. Like, what could we do? You know, it's not just enough for us to fight against what is. We also, like our ancestors, which is why I love Afrofuturism, you know, our ancestors knew, okay, maybe I'm not going to see this thing in my life.
Mhm.
What kind of a world do I want, though? What do I want? You know, what do I, you know, we're going to keep going and we're going to keep doing, because the day is going to come when the way that we are existing is not, this isn't us anymore. We know what it means to be free, even when we're not. And, you know, stuff that I've seen that's come out of Detroit is where people are saying, okay, now you have these conditions. How do you think past them in a big way that feeds you spiritually?
Yes.
It's so exciting and it's so life-giving. So yeah,
when I do my thing, it do be inspiring, especially now that I see like a lot of young people getting into activism now. That's
They
what I
doing
love
it.
to see. Like, man,
they
oh
doing
my
it.
God, I was so happy. But I was like, okay, how many of these motherfuckers can I break off from the Democratic Party? Because we all know, like, Detroit got
It's
a
a
real
process
strong
too, though.
They got a real stronghold on these voters out here. And it's like, you know, when I went around canvassing for y'all, man, it was almost close to impossible to do it. If I didn't have the gift of gab, it boom. You're a Russian puppet. Like how? You know, I gotta, you know, I know how to play my roles and whatnot, but man, that was a mother. You know, but I'm still grateful for everybody. I'm grateful for everybody because everybody teach me, you know, all kinds of things. So even if, you know, you didn't hear me out, maybe I planted that seed that's gonna grow. No.
Exactly. I mean, if nothing else, you made sure that people were aware that there's another option. They may not be ready to act on that right now. They may not do it in 10 years. But there will come a time when they will have to acknowledge to themselves that at least I did hear about this. I do know something about this. Someone did come to me about this. And if that's all that you were able to accomplish, then that's something. I mean, this is a process. Like you said, and you've said a few times, this is a marathon. This ain't no sprint. So, you know, it's not going to happen today. Like I said, this little piece of history, this little mote of time in history, we did this little thing and it keeps going on. You know what I'm saying? So is at the end of the day, it's about, if you find a situation intolerable, are you willing to stand up and say something about it? And that's all I did.
Well, I'm gonna let you go. You know,
it was such a pleasure.
It was a pleasure to meet you.
Take care.
You too.
You joined the rebel movement, now you speaking to the leader. The system don't like me, the system don't like your ass either.